Tyler, I got bad news for you.
What?
The guest is not going to be on today.
It's a valid reason, though.
I literally thought you were going to be like, that's not bad news. That's good news.
No, it's a valid reason. But we were sitting here for a minute wondering what the heck was going on, because it is definitely happened before, and most of the time it is because of our lapse of judgment.
It is. And, time zones just are super unforgiving. When you think it's going to be 3 p.m. and it's not in a different time zone. So, no, it's all is good. We're going to guest rescheduled. So, Tyler and I are going to hang out on this podcast. We're going to talk about our kids.
It was pretty much an extension of our. So, as we were waiting for the guest, we were just talking in general, life, business, some struggles, some non-struggles, and all of a sudden, when we were like, all right, we decided to bump the guest, because I think that a lot of times, if it's hurried or there's a panic and the mistake was already made, it just sets the podcast off on the wrong foot. So it's like, now let's regroup, collect ourselves, start off at ground zero. So all of a sudden it was recording. So we ended up going into this one a little bit hot. But
hot for sure.
Hot for sure. It was a fun conversation. I think the end of it might have been my favorite, though.
I would agree. Guys,
so stick around to the end of this one.
Oh, dude, your camera.
I was actually reading online as to why that keeps happening, and it's a camera related issue, and I believe that there's a setting that I can adjust the cutoff point from the temperature. So it's the fact that it's changed now to like 4K, that it's just creating a little bit too much heat for the body of the camera.
Got it.
So I'm gonna have to go into some settings and mess around with that.
Well, in the meantime, let's get into this conversation.
Yeah, stick around till the end. It's we had a little bit of fun.
This podcast is brought to you by Andersen Windows. Andersen's goal is to craft something that lasts, something that stands the test of time, and they've been crafting that legacy for 120 years, making quality products for craftsmen and women like us and like our listeners. So whatever it is you want to be known for, Andersen can help you achieve it. I've talked about it a lot. My legacy is I want to be known for building cool stuff with cool people, and I want to share my journey along the way through this podcast and, of course, all of the social media and video content that we produce.
Yeah, for myself, I know we touched on this briefly before, but I want to better the industry as a whole. Obviously, I want to be successful in my own right and create a sustainable, profitable business. But I think that if we can help others do that by lifting and elevating the entire business and the entire industry, I think that would be a really good legacy for me to leave behind, and also create a network and a support group here for contractors, to really be a sounding board, and help and relate their struggles and successes. So create a hub here within the community. That would be another part of the legacy that I would really like to see come to fruition.
Yeah, so Andersen is there for us and to be a collaborator with support that makes it all possible. And Andersen can play a part in your legacy. See the difference for yourself at andersenwindows.com/pros. Tired of endless paperwork and back and forth of traditional estimates?
Well, say hello to the groundbreaking tool that you need to get more organized, more efficient, and more profitable. Dun, dun, dun. Buildertrend.
With their cutting-edge digital estimates, bidding on projects has never been smoother. Imagine having all of your estimates in one place, accessible anywhere. Buildertrend not only simplifies the process, but it also enhances accuracy, helping you secure more projects and avoid costly errors.
It's more than just software, it's a profitability boost.
Ready to transform your business? Well, visit buildertrend.com/MC estimates to experience the power of digital estimates and see how Buildertrend is revolutionizing the way that you bid. Build smarter, build better, and win more jobs with Buildertrend.
It's going to be a hot mess if she's scraping. at this
Mhm.
point and like, oh crap, what did I do?
Mhm. I'm gonna
What
finish
are you
my juice.
drinking? I
A
thought it was
green juice.
matcha. I thought it was
A green.
matcha.
I do matcha lattes sometimes, like, when I'm feeling, like, a little frisky.
I think I've tried it before and I didn't
It's
love it.
not it's actually not good.
Yeah, I think it's got too much texture for me.
Oh, that's interesting. So, I won't drink it I won't drink matcha straight. It's usually like, I'll do, like, a matcha tea latte, which is basically just almond milk,
Yeah.
and then it's just, like, completely crap. Um, no, this is a green juice with turmeric and cayenne
Mm.
pepper.
Is it good?
Yeah, it is. I
What else
was
is in it?
feeling celery,
Yeah.
and I don't cucumber,
Mm.
celery, cucumber, pineapple, maybe, cayenne pepper, turmeric, and ginger.
Yeah. I've been switching it up. I've been having I was eating a lot of the same shakes over and over and I switched it up recently. And I've been having I'll just make them and that's what I'll eat for breakfast and for lunch. So I'll make like a
Just a
blender full
shake?
and yeah, I'll make a blender full and bring it and I'll have like half of it around 10 and then half of it
Mm.
around lunchtime. I mean, it's like a full size blender.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but recently I've been having a shake with turmeric, ginger, spinach or kale, cucumber, celery, carrot, um, and then either grapefruit or like some sort of citrus. And
Mm,
it's good with mint too.
mm.
It's a little bit different
That's all you'll eat for lunch?
for breakfast and lunch. And then I'll eat like a full dinner. If I'm working,
Yeah.
unless my like sometimes my blood sugar will get low and I'll need like
I just think about, like, there's no protein in that.
you could I mean you could put almond butter or you could use like a protein powder in there.
Yeah.
um I is if unless my blood sugar gets low where I just all of a sudden am like craving some sort of carbs or something, it
Mm.
usually when I'm working, I guess I'm not bored enough to want to eat. So I don't love to stop and take a huge lunch. I'd just rather eat on the go. Um, Even before that, I would eat like the same thing every single day for lunch. If I'm busy, I don't feel as though I want to stop and eat. It's if I'm like
Yeah.
traveling or if I'm not working or if I'm home on podcast days, I just like I go in the kitchen. I just want to eat all the time. I'm not even hungry, but I feel like
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Like, you
When I'm at
walk by
work,
something, you're like, "That looks good."
yeah, and then you have, like, 1, and then you're like, "Oh, that tasted good. I'm gonna have 6 more," and you're like, "Oh, well, yeah, now I want some cereal." I'm, like, not
Mhm.
even hungry, you're just eating, but when I'm at work, I have enough going on that I feel like I actually eat just out of necessity,
Mhm.
and then I'll have a normal dinner at night, but it's convenient for me, it's fast, it's easy, I can bring it with me, like, I don't go out and buy lunch ever.
Yeah, ever since I've been in the office, or less of a physical role, I'm, like, pretty consistent with eating lunch, and now, like, I've changed around my diet quite a bit in the last, like, 6 months, but now I'm having a solid breakfast and a solid lunch and solid dinner.
What time are you eating breakfast?
7. So I'll usually work out first and then eat after. And if unless and sometimes I'll skip breakfast and then just have, like, a larger lunch. Um, but I've just basically like, completely eliminated any, like, bullshit kind of breakfast
Have you
where
ever
it's like,
looked
unless.
into intermittent fasting?
Yeah, yeah. Um, it doesn't if I do it or I don't do it, I don't see a real benefit for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
from a weight perspective, like, my weight has not like, literally since college, I've stepped on the scale and it's always been the exact same number. Like, it's
Yeah.
never not even, like, 2 pounds different. It was always just like, 174 was my number.
Mhm.
And, um, so, like, I don't need if anything, I was trying to put on weight than lose weight, and I've just maintained, and now I've put on a little bit of weight, but not anything significant. Where it's like the intermittent fasting, like I see the benefit of it. I hear the benefit of it. I don't physically feel it or see it.
Yeah, I think for people who are trying to lose weight, I try not to eat before 10 or so in the morning. Um, Realistically, I don't feel as though I'm super hungry in the morning. Even if it, on
Mm.
the weekends, if Rachel's going to make a breakfast or if the kids want like a big breakfast, I'm not generally super hungry when I first wake up. I think it's just like what you do habitually. If you're used to eating when you wake up, you're going to be hungry when you wake up. If you're if you eat later, obviously that's going to be, I try not to eat too late either.
Yeah,
Um
I try to eat before 8.
yeah, ideally that would be like the cutoff.
Yeah.
I
Our
also
our home, like, dinner schedule's all screwed up, like, the kids become priority, and then Meg, like,
yeah.
won't eat or might eat, or I will like, where she's like, "Just eat by yourself." I'm like, "Well, I don't wanna eat by myself, but I understand, like, you don't wanna eat right now, and I do, so we'll
Yeah.
just call it what it is."
That was actually a big point of contention with Rachel and myself because I don't eat. So even prior to how I've been eating the past couple of years before that, I would just eat the same thing for breakfast and lunch every single day. So it was, I don't know, if you don't drink, there you like don't do drugs, not that you have like a food addiction, but like
Mhm.
coffee or like a nice meal is something to look forward to, right? When you
Yeah.
have like nothing else than you put in your body. Um, so I always be like, I'm not eating shit for breakfast or lunch. It's just nothing. It's like nothing. So I would be like, I want to eat an actual dinner. That was the one thing. And Rachel could care less. Like she
Right.
snacks. She's like a bird. She just
Mhm.
snacks all day long and she doesn't need to eat dinner. And it would be like me making dinner every single night. And she's just like, yeah, I just don't care. So then the days that I couldn't make dinner, I'd be like, yo, I make dinner every night. And then like you can't even, and it's not that she didn't want to. She's just like, oh no, like if I'm by myself, I don't have to eat. And I'm like, well, that's not fair to me. But then with the kids and schedule and everything else, now it's like eat when you can.
Yeah.
So we we try and sit down and have dinner together, but then it's like so and so has Girl Scouts, then we have trombone practice, then there's a spelling bee this night, and then there's softball that got rescheduled, and it's like just eat when you can.
Yeah.
The kids will eat anything. Um, so it's difficult to have like a standard
Totally. I
and
mean,
be super consistent.
it's the same thing, like, if Meg's hungry, she'll cook, and we'll eat as a family. If she's not hungry, the kids get fed, and then I'll just make myself something.
Yeah,
But it's, you know, similar, like, I'm pretty consistent, like, I don't really care. Like, I ate lunch the other day, and it was a bowl of rice and ground beef,
yeah,
and she goes, "That's literally what you're eating?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "That's disgusting." I'm like
yeah. It sounds good.
it's ground beef and
Yeah,
rice." And
a
she
little
goes,
salt and pepper. I was like, you don't
"Yeah,
really
like,
need much else.
maybe a little hot sauce on it," like, and she's like, it's she's like, wants, it's way more about, like, the flavor and, like, the cuisine and,
Yeah.
like, want something more than. I'm just like, "No, I need calories." Like, I don't need, like, I just need food.
I'm good for like I said, one meal a day where it's like, yeah, all right, let's eat something substantial or enjoy it and eat not for like the utility of eating.
Most of my eating is utility,
Yeah,
a
like that
as is yours.
and that's I'm perfectly fine with that. And then I feel as though the one meal that's like not utility is dinner or
Mhm.
maybe on the weekends it's like the eating habits will change slightly, but I think that like it also is, like, systematized during the week for me. Like, I don't
Yeah,
have to think about what I'm gonna make. I know what I have in the refrigerator. I know
right.
how long it's gonna take me to make in the morning, what time I'll be out of the house, how long it's going to take me to eat during the day, and I don't have to it's not like I have to, like, plan my schedule to be able to get out and grab lunch at this time, and
Yeah,
I know, like, if I'm on the job and I'm hungry, I have food there.
right.
So it's a convenience for me. I couldn't ever I never ever really got into a habit of going out and, like, getting lunch and stuff every day.
I can't I mean, it drives me nuts that I order lunch so much, but it's like it's the convenience thing.
Yeah.
But if I cook on the weekend, like I'll cook a bunch of chicken, a bunch of rice and veggies and just like try to portion that over the week. Problem
Yeah.
is like, oh, I'll take double today.
Yeah.
And
It's a
then
lot of work too.
yeah, and it's I there was like there's this all the we've tried all of those, or I've tried a lot of those meal, deliveries. And they're just none of them really hit the
Oh, like
spot.
the preset menus or whatever?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
never
where it's
enough
like
food for
it's
me. I'm like, I'm
no,
still
and
hungry.
I actually one of them, I had met the guy that started the company, and he was like, "You got to try mine," and I did, and I was eating. He's like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "I just, it's not enough food." He goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, how many are you eating?" I said, "One." He goes, "You have if you're trying to if you're super active, you're supposed to eat two." I'm like, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
like just it doesn't feel good to like cook two dishes. Just make the dish bigger."
Yeah.
He's like, "No, we do one because, like, if people are trying to lose weight, it's the perfect amount. But if you're trying to maintain or gain weight, then you need to eat 2." I'm like, "No, like, I just feel like shit when I have to put another one." And I also don't like microwaving my food.
Yeah. That's also the thing for me. It's like if you're gonna like meal prep, it's a lot of work.
Mhm.
And like it can setting up, cleaning, cooking, rationing everything out, and then it's just a pain in the ass. So even
It
when before I
it's
would eat what I eat now, I'd eat a peanut butter and honey with a pear and a yogurt or like a cheese stick every single day because it was just like
that's
so easy.
but it's not like it's literally what a child eats.
I know, but it was like so easy and so fast,
Yeah.
and like I'd eat this first and then this for like second. It's just like I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to meal prep every single week where it's like we need to go to the grocery store on Sunday and then I'm going to spend the second half of my day meal prepping.
Yeah, but it doesn't have like, it I disagree a little bit. Like, I think that you can it's not that hard. It's just annoying
I
is what it
know, and
is.
that's
Like,
what I
but
wouldn't want to do it.
but if you literally took a bunch of chicken breasts, cut them in half, threw them in the crock pot, and just let them cook for 8 hours, and then steam some rice, like, you literally and then some veggies, it's not that much work, but
No, I feel like I'd rather just bite it off a little at a time, like each day make a
yeah.
sandwich.
I mean,
Like,
for me, it's like if I don't do that, then I'm ordering that same dish
yeah.
from a restaurant, and depending on what my schedule looks like, I'm having it delivered,
Mhm.
and also depending on what my schedule looks like, I'm also paying the $3, like, get it here faster fee, which I think is bullshit, but,
I don't
you know.
even have any of those apps on my phone.
The worst, dude, I started realizing this is, like, I'll be sitting here and Uber Eats will just send me a notification like, "Hey, you haven't ordered from your favorite restaurant in a while." I'm like, "I'm actually hungry now." And
I
I'm
guess
like,
a lot of people, yeah,
"Damn."
the people who moved in behind us, there's cars all day long, just like delivering Chick-fil-A, like just
That
food all
yeah.
day long. I don't know if it's like DoorDash or what, but
Yeah.
it's somewhat frustrating too because I like run my business out of here. I have my toys out of here, and I don't mean to be rude, but there's some questionable looking vehicles that come into my driveway that think it's the driveway for the house behind me.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, this is why I don't want people like all over my property while I'm outside
Mhm.
washing toys or have the back of my truck open because I'm loading stuff up. And I'm like, I know that maybe somewhat messed up to say, but I'm like,
No, that's fair.
this is not who I want like driving on my property right now.
No, I mean, the food delivery thing, I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like, we have the whole like this whole like the younger generation than us uses it constantly.
Yeah.
Where like they have I don't know if it's local or what, but there's one called GoPuff, and you can order just stuff from a convenience store.
Really?
And yeah, like a bag was on the front step the other day of my place, and we have people that rent down below. And I was like, "What is this?" And it was a bag of like candy and like a case of Diet Coke. I was like, "Why is this being delivered?" He goes, "Oh, it's just, they just pick it up at the convenience store for me."
You ever got the wrong food delivery to your house? Or like they delivered
Personally,
something to
no.
your house that you didn't? So like where we are, even with like people building a house behind us, there's only houses so often. So you would have to make like a pretty big mistake to drop a food delivery off. It's not like in the city where it's like this could be this building or that building or so we came home one day to like a full grocery order worth of stuff and we like
What?
tried to call up to figure out where and it was just it's stuff that we wouldn't eat or use
Yeah,
either. So it's like
yeah.
this is gonna
So it's
go
just
to waste.
complete
Like it was a bunch
waste.
of Mountain Dew soda and stuff, or like orange soda, just weird stuff that we wouldn't eat anyway.
Mhm.
Um, we were like, we don't even know where this was supposed to get delivered to in the first place. I think it was you that mentioned where you come home at night and there's like the DoorDash delivery for somebody who you can
McDonald's.
tell came home drunk and then like fell asleep
It's the
and it's
no, it's
still
the
out on the
morning. You go out
yeah,
in the
that
mor
it's
you go
still
for on Saturday
dude, the
morning, you go for an
bums
early
probably love that.
yeah, but
Hell yeah.
it's always like McDonald's, which I just find so weird. But, like, yeah, you go for an early morning walk on Saturday morning, it's just like DoorDash is on stoops everywhere.
Yeah. Do your kids like McDonald's?
So, it's that's funny you asked. We've never given it to them. And, like, Meg and
Really?
I were just like, "Yeah, like, why?" Like, there's no reason to introduce it to them, but Marley went out with her friends for a birthday the other day, and they brought her to McDonald's.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, no, please don't make this a thing." Like, I just think it's gross.
Yeah.
And Meg was like, "So what'd you get?" She goes, "Uh, chicken nuggets." And she's like, "Oh, was it good?" She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Did you get fries?" She's like, "No." She's like, "Did you get a toy?" She's like, "No, I just
She
got
didn't get a
chicken nuggets."
Happy Meal?
No, they
Whack.
were like, "I just got chicken nuggets, mom." So, like, to her, it was not like it was
Yeah.
nothing. It wasn't
Yeah.
special. It wasn't anything like I was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah,
Meanwhile, like,
Selby
we drove by Taco Bell the other day, and Reed's like, "Whoa, Taco Bell." I'm like, "How do you know what Taco Bell is?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, YouTube." I was like,
Dude,
"Oh."
I think I ate Taco Bell from the time I was 16 until I was, like, 18, and never before then, and never after then.
I
Um,
I
oh,
wanna
wait,
say that that's similar. I never had it as a kid.
yeah. We we just don't eat fast food as a family. Like, if
Yeah.
we're on the road and stopping somewhere, it might be like a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
only exception we've made in our entire parenthood
and
is
I
Chick-fil-A.
honestly, I don't feel like it's that much different. It's all the same shit. I don't know
Yeah.
why people think like Chick-fil-A's any better. It's the
No,
same
it's
shit. Um,
yeah. I mean, I
they
think it
call it like fast casual. I'm like, it's the same shit.
yeah. I mean, it's the same way as, like, Five Guys,
Yeah,
which is like, for a while, I would still eat that, and they're like, "That's still fast food." I'm like, "I know, but it's different." They're like, "How?" I'm like, "When you
it's
think
not a.
fast food, you think of, like, Wendy's, Burger King, McDonald's." Like, for some reason, Five Guys, Shake Shack, like,
Yeah,
those things seem to be at a better scale. I'm like,
slightly.
"Yeah." It's like, "But is it?" Like,
So
I
yeah,
don't
it's
know.
kind of the same. It's kind of the same shit. But Selby like won't eat fast food because it hurts her stomach. Um, and Tilly's always been an interesting eater. She as a baby, like Selby always ate shit. She'd eat French fries, she like normal kid stuff, chicken nuggets, pizza. That's just what she likes, and she continues to eat that way. But Tilly always ate like we would go out. She would be just learning to eat solids, and Rachel would buy like an $8 thing of berries because they're astronomically expensive. And Tilly, as a baby, would just crush the whole thing of berries, like blueberries, and then just shit blueberries in her diaper. Um, but she always ate well. But the one thing she like fucking loves McDonald's. And I don't even think she likes the food. I just think she likes like the toy, the Happy Meal,
Right.
and like she might eat it once every couple of weeks and she's
Mhm.
like maybe this shouldn't matter but she's like very skinny and it's not
Mhm.
like I have to be concerned about what she's eating and
Mhm.
for the most part she eats pretty like she eats much healthier than Selby as in general so I've never it's not worth the argument and she eats pretty well and it's something that makes her happy and
Sure.
Selby doesn't like it, and, like, I don't feel that it really affects her, and it brings a smile to her face as a seven-year-old, so if we're out and she's like, can I get McDonald's? I'll be like, whatever.
Right.
But we're just not like a fast food family. But yeah, she's always like, let's go to McDonald's. And I'm like, no, it's not even good. You're the only one who gets anything. And I'm like, do you like McDonald's? And it's funny because she gets the toy and then she gives it to someone else.
Hmm.
So I don't know what it is about it. I mean, she does eat the food, but I think it might be like the experience that she likes more
Yeah.
than anything. I can remember McDonald's being like exciting and special when you were a little kid, or like the end of school, the parents would bring it into field day and bring you McDonald's, but we don't eat fast food as adults.
No. I mean, at the like the whole weight thing, specifically, it's like that, just because it's not a nutrient dense or like a really high quality food, like that's not gonna lead to, being overweight. Like,
Yeah.
that it's if she's not consuming just McDonald's at
Yeah.
4,000 calories a day, it's like, yeah, once in a great while. Like, is it the best thing for her? No. But
No.
neither is candy and half the other shit we
Or
eat.
like the chicken nuggets that we make out of the refrigerator, they're
I
shaped like a
know.
dinosaur. Like,
Yeah.
really? What are they made of?
Meg and I, every time we go, like, we'll order chicken fingers at a restaurant for them, and it's like the first thing we do is we peel it apart to
Yeah.
see, like, does this peel apart like chicken or does it peel apart like
Like, does it snap?
or like yeah, and does it look like fluffy white shit?
Purple. It's still good though.
I know.
Yeah, dude. So I sometimes I'll see some people on Instagram. They're like, "What are you feeding your kids?" And it's like, "Oh, you're letting your kids eat hot dogs and this, that, and the other thing." And I'm like, "Damn, are we really just making like doing this much harm to our kids with their diet and what they eat? Like, should we have the closet full of snacks that they can go in and grab a bag of and not even like a weight perspective, but just like a health perspective?" And I sometimes I think about it. I'm like, are we making the right decisions? But then I realize that probably half the crap that we get from supermarkets and restaurants is like it's not that different. It's
No.
like injected with hormones and all sorts of chemicals. And like even if you're making it at home, it's probably better, but it's still not the way that we're intended to eat.
Yeah. I mean, to eat completely clean and like completely all that. Like it's hard. You have to. It's hard to just get that.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I have 2 kids, you have 4, but I'm pretty sure that that would be a massive
Yeah.
cost to feed
Yeah.
your kids that way.
And I love the fact like JP, who we had on a couple episodes ago. I think he's an investor or a co-founder of Little Cattle
Oh,
Company,
yeah.
and and that's direct source, farm grass fed, beef, and they ship around the US. That's super cool. But it's, you're still like it's changing the entire way you shop. And now you're sourcing, like, now it's multiple sources where it's like, okay, well, cool, now I have great, all natural beef coming, but it's being packed frozen and then I need to store it. So it's like I can't just run out and grab 2 steaks.
Yeah.
It is, and on the other side of this is such an interesting conversation for our podcast, but on the other side of it, it's like, you know, there's also this like fear mongering that's going on with everything is bad for you and this and like you don't eat this and don't eat that. And it's, you know, sure. Like the reality is it's like it's where we have what we have and
Yeah.
make good decisions. It's, you know, at one point, like my kids had something, I was like, oh my, and I just got upset that they were eating it because I was like,
Mhm.
it's so bad for them. And I was like, you know how much of that I ate as a kid?
Dude, that's what I try and
I
think
was
about.
like, and I've changed. My health is pretty good now. Like,
Yeah.
like I've come to realize it. So yeah, sure. That that bag of Skittles right now. All right, it's got a little paint thinner on it. I'm
Yeah.
okay.
It's like I was listening to something where they were talking about how people have, say that you're better off drinking like whole full sugar soda than diet because of the aspartame whatever and all that crap that's in it, and then they're like regardless of what that causes, if you were to see how much sugar is in an actual like full sugar soda, it pretty much doesn't matter what you would put in your body is going to be better than the actual soda with all the sugar in it. They're like,
Right.
it could be diet, it could be like anything, and it's
Yeah.
still going to be better than that's somewhat where I draw the line with the kids. Where like I don't care if they eat candy.
Mm,
I do feel I don't want that to be a primary source of their diet, but like
mm,
as a kid, there's some simple pleasures that you have that you can enjoy with very little consequence because you
mhm,
have the metabolism and like the activity of a child where
mhm.
it's like, yeah, enjoy hot chocolate, like enjoy
Right.
dessert, enjoy sweets and candy. That's just part of being a kid and you won't be able to eat like that for your whole life. But
Bro,
like I do
hot chocolate fucks my kids up. Like,
really
they they just turn into, like, psychotic animals, and we were up at Gunstock, and they have, like, a Hershey's hot chocolate machine. Y
yeah.
So it's just, like, pure sugar chocolate
Yeah.
coming out of that thing, and of course, like, they're just being absolute maniacs. I'm like and stupid me, I filled the cup up.
Well, it's usually because it's like hot chocolate is consumed in like a setting where they're already having fun.
Right.
You know, it's not like, yeah, we're just going out to dinner. You can have a hot chocolate with dinner. It's like, no,
Right.
you're snow tubing or you're
Yeah, right.
skiing or like you just ran out, you're going outside with your friends to play. Like it's a celebration. So I feel like they're already wired for sound. And then it's like, let's pump you with some chocolatey sugar right now. And then they're
Yeah.
like off the wall. But I do draw the line with like soda and caffeine with them where it's like
Mm.
no,
You
we're
don't need
not
that.
like you're not going
Yeah.
to drink soda. You can have juice which probably has as much sugar in it, but like from a mental standpoint I'm just like I just draw the line with soda.
Yeah, well, I
um
think there's, like, that addictive characteristic to it. I'm not a whole, like, food dye is, poison and such. However, I will say that when my kids have food dye, they are, like, straight up assholes.
yeah,
And I'll come home and they'll be doing something, and I'll look at Meg, I'm like, "What'd they have today?" She goes, "Yeah, they had a purple frosted cupcake."
yeah,
And I'm like, "Yeah, like, the food, like, it just messes with them." And,
it's
like, they're
hard to
fine, like,
tell.
they obviously metabolize it, but, like, if they just had candy
Yeah.
that had no dye in it, like, they would be crazy, but they're just not, like, they're not at that, like, uncontrollable level where anytime they do, it's like they're uncontrollably hyperactive and just, like, I think we got in trouble for calling our kids assholes on this podcast, but they're walking the
Oh
line of
yeah,
being an asshole.
100%. My kids are definitely assholes. Not all the time, but like
I
they
think it
have the gene. Like
I think it was you that got in trouble for it.
yeah, I mean I like I'm not as much Selby. Selby will be an ass to Rachel, but like Tilly can definitely be an asshole. Like she
Mm,
was an asshole last night, right? She was downstairs, she was me, she's fine. She's sitting on the couch. We were watching something on TV. She's like, I told mommy I have to be up by 9 and it's 8:58, so I'm gonna go up now. I was like, oh, that's so good. And then she just went upstairs and just wreaked havoc. Like Rachel was laying in bed reading with Selby. Selby's reading and she just went upstairs and I just hear screaming. And then I go up and Tilly's like, you have to say this. You have to say this. No. And what she wanted Rachel to roll her eyes. And Rachel's like, no, I'm not rolling. She's like, roll your eyes because she wanted Rachel to roll her eyes. And then she wanted to say, keep rolling them. Maybe you'll find a brain around up there somewhere. Like in her like, and Rachel's like, no,
What?
I'm not saying it. And she just flipping out that Rachel won't say it. And I'm like, go brush your teeth. And she just like, she gets the whole house so worked up. I was like, you were so nice downstairs and so sweet. And you said you wanted to go up before 9 so mommy didn't get upset. And then you just came up here and absolutely wreaked havoc. And
Cindy, man,
there's like, that's the definite, she's just like being an asshole for the sake of being an
yeah,
asshole.
that's Indy,
Um,
man, like, and Indy has no remorse. Like, Indy
yeah,
will jump on Nixon, and Nixon will be, like, crying because, like, obviously he's hurt, and
yeah.
and Indy's just like, I'm
So
like, what do you mean, like, what are you raising your shoulder at?" And she's like, "Can I have a snack?" I'm like, "What? No." She's like, "Stop." I'm like, Stop first. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?" And
The
she's
b
just like, no remorse.
the best part about it is that for the most part, I somewhat find it funny and
Mm,
amusing, and, like, she knows it
mhm,
because it just I don't know, if she's being, like, if she, like, manipulates somebody or she's doing it and trying to, like, hide it, it bothers me, but when she's just, like, straight up pushing buttons for the sake of pushing buttons, I don't know if it's the ball buster in me or what, but I do find it somewhat comical, and Rachel hates it. And so I can hear the other like Selby and Rachel are a pair and they're very similar to one another. And I just hear them both just flipping on Tilly. And I'll just be in the other room just laughing because I'm like, I know exactly what she's doing right now. And then you walk in, I'll be like, Tilly, you gotta stop that. She'll be like, okay, dada. And I'm like, you're such a jerk. I know exactly what you're doing. It does make me laugh. And
yeah, it's kids are just crazy, man. Like, I think I said it before, but I remember Meg and I, shortly after Nixon was born, we were just sitting on the couch and they were like calm and just chilling. Um, but I looked at Meg and we just both started laughing. It's like, look at our life right now.
I
Like,
know.
the house was a mess. The kids are watching TV. Meg, like, it's Indy's like sitting upside down on like a tractor toy. Like,
Do you
it's
know what does me dirty? So Rachel got one of those like frame um like picture frame, digital picture frame thing where you upload photos onto it and then it just scrolls through pictures.
Mhm,
And like she uploads the pictures and it's of the kids for the past 10 years. And so it's like baby Selby, baby Tilly,
mm,
and you have like all these memories come up. And
that's
I don't know why, but I'm, like, fixated on it. So every time and it doesn't annoy me, but, like, I'm generally not watching TV if we're in that room. The girls are watching TV. So I'll kind of be zoning in and out, and then, like, a new picture comes up, and it is, like I like it, but I hate it at the same time because it's, like, sad to see how old they are or remember
yeah,
what they were like, and it
right,
seems, like, so long ago, and, like, all of these moments that you're experiencing, like Tilly last night, is like a pain in the ass for everyone.
right.
And then you see a photo from like 2 years ago where 90% of that day she was an ass, but in this picture, we're on a Ferris wheel at the fair around the corner, and I'm sitting behind her, and she has like this smile on her face that is nothing short of just absolute pure joy. Like,
Right.
so simply just pure joy, and it makes me very happy, but also, like, very sad. I typically turn the frame off when Rachel and the girls are away because it makes me so sad. I'm like, I'm missing their life. They're not with me right now. I'm never gonna get this time back. But that like frame thing that she got really does me dirty. I swear
Mm.
sometimes I'll be like just sitting on the couch like bawling, being like, where the hell's all the time going?
It's
And then
weird,
they
man.
walk in the door and I'm like, I can't stand you right now.
It's weird. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, I we don't have that frame, but I have, the memories in the iPhone will pop up,
Yeah.
and I got one recently, and it literally looked like Meg was holding Nixon, and it was a
Mhm.
picture of Meg holding Marley.
Yeah.
Anyone that knows my kids, like, I have 2 boys, 2 girls, and they're literally carbon copies of each other, and they're 4 years apart each. The girls are and the boys are. But it's like we had 2 sets of the same exact children.
Yeah.
Um, but a picture came up the other day. I'm like, I sent it to Meg, and she's like, "Holy shit, is that Marley?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "It literally looks like Nixon." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I know." But it is. It's like I can't. Like, how is Marley 7? It's like I remember exactly where I was. When you had told me about Tilly, and I remember
Yeah.
texting you and being like, "Hey, I got some news," and you were like, "No way." I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah." But I guess where my train of thought was going is like you know, we've talked a lot about, difficult times, and the saying like this too shall pass has just been like playing over in my head like over and
Yeah.
over. And it's a lot about like taking, a lot it goes along with like me talking about like taking risks and what's the worst that can happen, and like like you'll get through it. But it's also like, man, my kids are, they're getting older. It's like there's things I want to do to improve our life, right? It's like I want to renovate our house. Like I know you feel that. It's like you want to do all these things to, create a better life for your kids and your family. And it's like I kind of just have to do it,
Yeah.
and it's, you know,
I look
it's
what all
crazy.
the recently, so my mom split up from her second husband, and she moved closer to down here. And at this point, my parents are 70. My dad's 70. My mom is a little shy of 70, but my dad made a comment. Like, I know that my grandfather, my dad's dad, dropped dead of a heart attack when he was 70. And I like recall being in sixth grade when that happened. And now, like, all of these points of my life are directly relatable to my kids now. Like, Selby's in fifth grade, her grandpa's 70. So essentially, like, I was her age when my grandfather died. And that's playing somewhat, not somewhat, it's a bit of a mind fuck where I'm like, okay, so we're now the next generation. And then, like, I'm like, it seems to me as if me being in sixth grade was yesterday. Like, my grandfather dying was yesterday. And I'm like, it's crazy to me to think that now I have kids in the position that I can like directly relate to and recall being that age and experiencing that, and that like inevitably that's going to happen at some point, probably within the next 10 years. Like, even my dad admits it. He's like, I probably max have like a good 10 years left in me.
Mm.
um and it's just crazy to think we're at that point. And I'm like, damn, like my parents just never seemed that old. And I still don't feel that old. But when I think about it and when I start relating it to points of the lives that my kids are experiencing right now, it doesn't seem like that was 30 years ago. And it's crazy to me to think how quickly that went, and that's playing a large impact on the decisions I make and what I want to do, because I feel like everyone tells you, "Oh, you're young, you're 38, you have your whole life ahead of you." And I'm like, right now, looking at my dad who's 70, telling me, "Oh, best case, I have 10 good years left of me." Or Rachel's dad's sick, like terminally ill. I'm like, that time flew by, even being a kid, and it's flying by even faster now. As you're an adult and as you're busy and life is just chaotic, it goes faster and faster, and it does scare me to a certain extent about like what I'm going to do, what life's going to look like. At the same time, it does somewhat ground me where I'm like, all this shit that I'm worried about at
Mhm.
the end of the day doesn't really warrant the amount of worrying.
I just You asked me what I was drinking, right? I went into this. I'm gonna shout them out. Salty Bamboo Beach Bar. Young couple. They went and like found this like juice bar and acai bowl place on vacation, and they decided to start this company here in Salty. And I actually think you might listen to this podcast, so that's cool. But I was just in there, and they were talking about traveling, and I was saying how Meg was going away, and how we travel with the kids sometimes. And oh, dude, your camera got hot.
I know. I'm running a space heater.
I'm but you know, she was, I was like, you guys should go. Like, and she was like, oh, that would be super nice. I'm like, I'm telling you, just go. I'm like, monitor the flight. I was talking about Puerto Rico because it's like
Yeah.
a relatively easy flight from Boston. I'm like, monitor the flight, and when a really good deal comes, just book the trip. She goes, well, the business like today, like one of the people came in and like they broke the key in the door, and it was just like I had to go get a key. I'm like, I know, and I
Yeah.
said to her, and I was like, but I want, like, with all due respect, none of this matters.
Yeah.
And I say that knowing that I struggle with it, Where when I started my business, like I worked around the clock, and Meg just, refused to allow that to be our life. And I remember coming home, she's like, "Hey, we're going away in a month for a week." I'm like, I can't. She goes, "Well, you're gonna have to figure it out." And, and I applaud her because like I would have never taken time off.
Yeah.
And I said to them, I'm like you have to make time to do it, because in the grand scheme of things, none of this actually matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to build a great business. Yes, you want to be successful and create a life for you guys, but $120 flight to Puerto Rico pops up, book it.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you lose $120 because you don't go. Best case scenario is that you realize, hey, let's go. Even if we're down there for 2 days, like it's worth the $120 or the 240 for the two of them. I was like, don't even book a hotel. Just fly there and then figure it out. There's always
Yeah.
going to be a space. There's always going to be a place you can stay. And it's just, and you're right. Like, not at the end of the day, like none of this really matters. It's just, it's a product of or it's a vehicle for the life that we want
Or think that we want.
or think that we want, right? It's like at the end of the day, like, for, I saw something. It was like some sort of not a meme, but it was like essentially with this sale, like it was a photo of this sales guy selling, or when refrigerators first came out,
Yeah.
it was they rented them to people. And I remember, like, I was reading it. I can't remember. Someone's got to know what I'm talking about. But there was like, it was basically like, why would we rent a refrigerator? It's like, well, it's to keep your food cold. But they're like, but then I have to work to pay for that, to pay you, so I can rent your refrigerator. And it basically just talked about how like we got into this consumer, society where it's like, what if you strip back everything, like there was no consuming, right? Like you weren't paying anything, you weren't earning money, like that was a life at one point.
Yeah.
And we've built the society of like constantly exchanging effort for money, and so we can go and then buy something else. And when you really break that down and really think about it, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. It it is a bit of like a paradox, right? Where you're trying to own this business and build this business and create a lifestyle for you and your family, but at the same time, a lot of that takes you away from you and your family, mentally, physically, both. Um, and it's hard to explain, and it's hard to find a balance there. I know when Rachel was pregnant with Selby, and she was 3 weeks late with both kids and had to get induced. So I scheduled work up until a little bit before she was ready to give birth, because it's our first kid. Um, and right, so if I stopped work 2 weeks or a week before she was due, and then she didn't have the baby for another 3 weeks, I was just sitting there waiting for her to give birth and stressed about having a child and making money and being like, well, I took off the week or two before the baby's born. Now I can't take off. It's 3 weeks late. I can't take off afterwards. And I remember, like, while she was waiting to have the baby, going back to work, and then like after she had the baby, getting right back to work. And I can distinctly recall how I felt, and my dad being like, who cares? Just like take the time off. It doesn't matter. And I just could not wrap my head around that. It it made no sense. It was the equivalent of, me telling you that the background behind me is white and you being like, no, it's black. It just didn't make any sense to me. I couldn't relate. And like it does now. In
Mhm.
hindsight, damn it, my damn camera. In hindsight, it's like it doesn't matter, and it wouldn't have mattered. And if I had changed, like, nothing would have changed. My life wouldn't be different right now had I just stayed home and spent internal temperature too high, allowed to cool. My life wouldn't be any different now had I just stayed and spent that time. But I didn't understand that at that point in my life.
Yeah.
Definitely lessons learned, which I don't know if it's like maturity, life, maybe you just have thicker skin.
I don't know. Like I part of me, I wonder the same thing. Like, is it maturity or is it that we're being conditioned to think in a different manner? Like I think like going back to our conversation about diet, like a lot of this a lot of this conversation around diet is because now we're like being influenced about food, in a different way, where it's like everything is about how bad it is or what it's made out of or the chemicals in it and the ingredients. And a lot of that is a product of like social media that we're
Mhm.
being introduced to this information in a different light. And I wonder the same thing about, the way we feel about like, hey, none of this really does matter. Like, is it maturity or are we just being influenced by that mindset? And I think that, you know, um, I was with someone a month ago he flew in, a vendor wanted to check out some of our projects. And I was like, hey, do you want to go to the gym in the morning? And he's like, absolutely. So we go to the gym and we got to chatting. And he was saying how, not too long ago he was just not in shape. And he's in great shape. This dude's buff and he said that social media encouraged him to get
Really?
in shape. And he's like, I was like following all these like fitness guys and like realizing like, hey, I could put in that work and I could be in good shape. And I laughed and I said that was exactly the position I was in. It's like I've always been in fine shape, but it got to a point where I was just influenced to improve myself to be better. And I
Yeah.
think that in business, I think about that as a father, as a husband. It's like, in the way we consume social media, like we can talk about the negatives, but there's so many positives to it that like something like that has, completely influenced someone to better a part of their life. And I think that is, to to continue to encourage like social media. I think that's where there's a lot of like great power there.
Yeah. It Do you feel that if something else had come across your plate that it would have resonated with you as strongly, or it was just like the crossroads that you were at and you felt as though you needed a change?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Like, do you think that if something else had crossed your plate as far as a hobby or some sort of self care, Jesus, this camera, some sort of self care, that you would have taken to that the same way that you have with fitness and exercise, or it was just like
No,
happenstance that
I think fitness and exercise is always been a part of my life, and when I had kids, it just wasn't. I wasn't prioritizing it as much.
yeah,
And I think that you know, like when I was really into cars and building cars, like I kind of gave that up because of having kids and having a business and getting married. But when I was doing that, I was encouraged by the message boards, and I would see what other people would do and be like, "All right, I want to do that or do it better."
yeah,
So I think I've always been, influenced by, um, greatness in different aspects, and I've just always like looked at something and said, I want to do that, or I want to do that even better, or how do I achieve a similar result?
yeah. Like
Um,
I wonder if something more car related had been put in front of your face more so than the fitness and the exercise.
oh, I'm
'Cause
sure.
I do, but at the same time, I do think that what you're doing now does somewhat dovetail or go hand in hand with the lifestyle and the business that you're looking to create. It's like being accountable, being responsible, being driven, fighting through the uncomfort of having to get up and do this and the consistency. I think that,
Mhm.
it has a lot, it goes hand in hand with that, and I don't know if other hobbies or the car interest would necessarily mesh so well with what you're trying to do in life.
No, I think it would be more of a that would be more of a relaxation, like a
Yeah,
zen,
yeah.
where like I don't necessarily zen through fitness. Like it's more of a let's get this shit done because like
Um,
I gotta pay my dues for the day, and then I feel as though I can go off and do something else.
so you doing ice baths now? You sent me a video of the kids hopping in an ice bath.
I wasn't gonna promote that because everyone's promoting it. I did buy one. It was $80. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. But I filled it up, and Marley and Indy were like, "Hey, I want to try it."
All right, so is there anything special about what you bought, or could I like go to Tractor Supply and get a horse trough?
You could, but you'd probably spend more money.
Ah,
This thing it's literally like 80 gallons, and it has a blow up ring and then some PVC tubes that it stands up on my deck. It's called the Polar Pod, I think. I'm now now I'm promoting it. Um, I
dude,
wasn't.
I'll tell you what needs an
It's
ice bath right now. My camera.
it's it's so like it's so trendy, but yeah, it's called the Polar Pod.
So
Um,
I
but
I like see all of these people doing the ice baths, and I I kind of get it, but at the same time, I'm like, is this for real, or is this?
is it a fad? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
And,
there's
like,
there's people that
there's gotta be, like, physiological benefits to it, but I also think that it's just one of those things right now that's being slightly
100%. You know,
overtaken on social.
I don't think my life is gonna change because of
Yeah.
it. I think that it's one of those things where it's like it's hard to do. You know, you get in there, you gotta get your breathing controlled and like be able to endure the pain of being
Yeah.
freezing. Um, so it's more that side of it. It's like, we talked about running before. I don't necessarily like running, but I like the fact that it challenges me mentally. And I think the same thing about this. But the more impressive thing is like my 7 and 3-year-old were like, we'll do it. And my 3-year-old was insistent that she would do it first. So I put her in, didn't even flinch. And then like it set in, she started like crying. So I got her out, dried her off, and she goes, I want to do it again. I was like, what?
Does that surprise you though? Because like my kids go outside with no clothes on. Like they
Yeah.
will go to school and be like, I don't need a coat. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're standing out at the bus stop. It's legitimately 15 degrees out, and they're just like, yeah, I'll be fine. I run
I
around it. They
suppose.
just
Yeah.
they like, dude, I was pulling my kid. I sent you the video. So
Yeah.
we're pulling the kids around on the tractor, and then it wasn't fast enough. So I put on a tool belt, not safe, and hooked a rope to it, and then was pulling the kids on my dirt bike with the sled in the snow. And I would get them inside, and they would have snow everywhere,
Hmm.
and their feet and their hands would almost be purple. And they're like, yeah, it was like, I'm so cold. But like, I would have bailed
Hmm.
10 minutes into that, and it'll be like an hour, and they're like, yeah, I'm fine.
Reads like that. They had like ski school Saturday, and I took them up, and it was 4 degrees. No, I'm sorry. Was it 4 degrees or 7 degrees? And it was getting up to 14 or something like that. It was it
Yeah.
was it was
I
just
mean, it was
cold.
that cold this week. Yeah, it was
It was
cold. It was
cold.
that cold here.
And so I get them up there, and I buy them a face mask. I get them completely bundled up, and they go off with their teacher. And I walk to the lodge. I was like, I'm not going to snowboard because like if they don't last, like I don't want to be on the slope.
Yeah.
So I go get a coffee. I take 3 sips of my coffee, and I get a phone call. Hey, we got Reed here. He's crying because he misses you. And I get there. I'm like, "Were you cold?" He goes, "No." I'm like, "Yeah, you were, dude. Like, it's it's cold out there." But I was like, "Hey, you got out there, you tried. Like, you got to run in. Hey, it's all good, dude." Like, Meg was like, "What a waste." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, but it shows that like, hey, you still show up. Like, you
Yeah.
show up, you give it a shot, no problem. Like, I'm sure you're not the only person crying or the only person giving up today because it is not a comfortable ski day."
Yeah, I think at that point too for kids, like when they ski, it's almost effortless and they're not getting their
I'm
body
sorry,
warm.
they're snowboarding, so it's not as effortless.
But I mean, at the same time, like if an adult were to snowboard
Right.
versus how old is he? 4 or 5?
He's
Like
5, yeah.
the amount of effort that goes into that, I think that something is wrong with my camera more than this because I don't even have anything on it right now.
Can
I
we
think
let's
it's the
talk
way
about
it's
your camera
running.
for a minute because I was in the office with Doug today, and I was like, "Dude, you see the reel Tyler did?"
Oh yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, I did." I'm like, "He used the camera for the podcast, like, it came out great." He goes, "Yeah, but the camera doesn't work for the podcast anymore." I was
It
like,
I
"That."
fixed it.
I was like, "That's accurate."
I fixed it, just the overheating, something's happening with the overheating that I think.
Mine did that too, and it was after I screwed with it.
You think it's the settings? Like, it's just running for too long?
I I don't know, dude.
That's what I kinda feel like now, whatever settings it's on, If it's like the 4K settings, they're typically not just like running for this, because I pulled it in front of my desk and like it's got plenty of air around it. Maybe I just need like a little, but it says internal temperature. I don't know. I'll look it up when we get offline.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reel turned out nice. I spoke a little about it on my midweek, where I enjoy learning regardless of what it is, and I had trouble diving into camera settings because it's so overwhelming and I know nothing about it. So I did a little bit of research, a little reading, watched some YouTube videos, and just made a document as far as like, if I'm outside, these are the settings I should be on. If I'm inside, these are the settings I should be on. And then spending some time working in different lighting and seeing what to change. Because what I was doing before was just throwing it on auto and hoping that it would be able to adapt to whatever I threw at it. And it's decent, but even in like the podcast setting, it's just adjusting to light too much and makes it look really crappy. So I have an idea of what's happening with it right now on a very rudimentary surface level that allowed me to film some stuff outside and then put a reel together. And then now, other than it overheating, um, film some stuff inside that's decent. Like I even have my light set up and like the color temperature on the camera, like,
Matches.
yeah, coordinating with
Mhm.
that, which is actually way simpler than I thought. But I just had to like take the time to understand what I was doing, or else I won't retain it and I won't like be able to do it again.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, Doug helped me out with that some as well, and he was like sending me pictures this morning, and I was pretty pumped because like my settings that I came up with yesterday were very like they were slightly off, but
Oh, he sent
very
them this morning?
yeah, but like very close to what I
You
had
have?
figured they needed to be. In general, and like every situation is going to be different, so I tweaked them some, but like very close to what he has yours set up on.
I was gonna say he came in this morning to set mine up because if you guys are watching this on YouTube, the last couple episodes I've been not so well lit. I was
Oh,
I was like, yeah, I don't know how to set this up, so now I look beautiful on camera.
yeah, so
But
that must have been, he was sending me them like your camera settings, and I was
yeah,
like, "Sweet." And I was like, "I'm gonna send you," because he was like, "Call me when you get it set up," and I was like, "I'm pretty sure that I'm good now. Like, I think that I figured it out, and I'm not sure we're gonna have to hop on a phone call." And he's like, "Okay." And then I just sent him like my system now for how to set it up, and it's basically just like, so every time I go to start, I can make sure that this is here, and if I need to make it darker or lighter, I can do these things. And he wrote back, he was like, "Tyler, the creator." I was like, "All right, sweet."
there
But it worked out well. I'll figure out this overheating issue.
you go.
It might be just, I have it like jammed up against the wall, and there's like a gap at the back where my desk is. And when I have this door closed, this room gets really cold, so I'll run like a little heater in here, and it might just be
Mm.
that it got hot earlier and it can't cool down running right now.
Every time I turn mine on, it says battery is exhausted. I'm like, it's not connected to a battery,
Yeah, just set it again.
so I have
So
to have to shut it off and start it over.
the other weird thing is that we have like this auxiliary battery plugged into the phone or the camera, and I'm pretty sure that we can run without that, and go directly into the power, because like the thing, basically it's a charging cord that's charging through your battery. That's why it's saying the battery's exhausted, because it like doesn't have power or something. But I'm pretty sure that we can actually tap right into the side of the camera, as long as we have the right cord and not need this little battery setup, which may
Hmm.
may alleviate some issues. I was doing some reading on that as well.
Just in case some of you guys wanted to know.
Yeah. I was looking up like decent tripods for inexpensive, a very, very high level, but it's amazing how little knowledge can do to make
Mm.
things substantially better.
Do you think you'll
Um,
start dancing for like TikTok?
I already have.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm just
Awesome.
waiting for the edits to come back.
Who's editing it?
Oh, I'm sending them out. They need to be super high quality.
Oh, word.
Um, no, it was fun. I like I don't I don't enjoy like I didn't ever enjoy learning in school because it was nothing that I was interested in. They were telling you how to learn. And
Mhm.
basically all I was doing was memorizing
Yeah.
so that I could work the system. So I I was a good test taker. So I did very well in school, but I wasn't actually learning and I was very bored because I knew the workaround. But I actually enjoy learning when it's something that is fairly dynamic and complicated and outside of my wheelhouse because I just think it's interesting. So
Mhm.
I did spend a little bit of time on my own figuring that stuff out, and then once I understand it and, like,
Yeah.
what each thing does, it makes it less complicated to me because it's like, "Oh, yeah, this is doing this, I can adjust this." And if you don't have that knowledge, it just is very like, you can't make sense of a video to watch it if you don't know what the hell the terms mean in it.
Right.
Um, so it
I
makes it a little bit easier.
I agree. I think, like, learning is super fun when it's something that you're implementing, right? Like, in business, we one of our 2024 goals in the business is to really standardize our procedures and, like, document stuff. And we're implementing, like, a to-do platform. We're using Asana. And we've been using Asana for a few years, but just weren't I wasn't like, I had no idea how to use it. I was just going through the motion. And a couple weeks ago, I finally was like, I need to understand. Like, I'm obviously not setting this up right because it's a super cumbersome tool
Yeah.
to use. And I watched 3 videos, and I was like, oh, I just have this all set up wrong. Like, I need to just set the organization up, the chart, like, where stuff goes. And once I do, it'll be super streamlined. And now I have, like, if I'm somewhere and I'm like, oh man, I have to submit, like, today I had to email the inspector, for an inspection this Friday, and I know I can't do it in that moment, so I just open my phone and new task, email inspector. So when I get back to my computer, I just open it up. It's like, hey, you recently assigned this to you, and it just, like, keeps me on top of it because,
Yeah.
um and we're using it internally and making sure that everyone's getting their stuff done. And, like, there's a process to it where it's like, hey, we got to run payroll. In order to run payroll, Julian's got to approve hours, and then Nick needs to transfer money into the payroll account, and then Nick needs to approve the final hours and reimbursements, and then Tim runs the actual payroll process, and then, all right, last check mark, it's complete, everyone's been paid, it will reset on Monday. And it's like, man, this is just it's it's just not, like, it's nice to actually understand how it works, because now it's a huge benefit to our process.
Yeah, I think that learning some people like everyone enjoys learning differently and has their own way to learn as well. Um, and I think that if it doesn't really fit your learning objective or program, then it makes it really difficult. And that like
Mhm,
I think that that's an issue with schooling and academics in general that like some people enjoy learning the way that they teach in school and some people don't. And I think that's why you certain teachers resonate differently with you, but I think that like affording people within your business or within your system to be able to take whatever knowledge you want to get across and consume that how they see fit, the best way that they see fit, makes for the most beneficial and the most efficient learning for everyone. Like
mhm,
I think that a lot of the standards that we put in place and like the way that people want you to learn makes sense, but not everyone learns that way and everyone's different. Which is again why I just couldn't stand school because they wanted you to learn a certain way and it bored the hell out of me to do that. Um, and sometimes I think about that with business or what you're doing, and it's like creating the objectives and then leaving enough room in there for people to like digest that the
mhm.
best way for them.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I do enjoy it when and it doesn't even have to be something that I'm really into. But I mean, the other day Selby got her like Rubik's cube mixed up, and she asked me if I could fix it. So I pulled up like a YouTube video that tells you all the algorithms and stuff to fix it. And like,
What?
yeah, so I like was annoyed because it like my personality type just won't put something down till I figure it out.
Mm.
So she like broke it. Tilly broke it. She friggin' Selby had her friend solve it. We went to the lake. Tilly got pissed at her and just switched all of them up. And so that like the way that the Rubik's Cube works is there's a process and like you do one thing first and then there's like certain patterns or algorithms and it's like if you wind up on this you do this, if you wind up on this. So I ended up downloading a YouTube video that like explains the algorithms and it took me a couple of hours to figure it out, but then like I did figure it out and I would have enjoyed it had I not been annoyed that I wanted to go to sleep. But like, like I just could, Rachel was like, just go to sleep. I'm like, no, not until I figure this out. And I think I figured it out around like 11:30 or so. And like after all said and done, it was rewarding and I enjoyed it, but it's not really what I wanted to be doing with my time at that moment.
Right.
But
That
I
that's
generally
I've never even looked into the Rubik's like how to solve a Rubik's cube, and I didn't realize. I mean, that makes sense that there's a whole like process, but I mean, how long is that YouTube video?
not that long, but it's like they distill it
Hmm.
so that there's zero like it might be 45 minutes, but like they distill it
That,
in a
that
way.
that's long, Tyler.
Oh, I
That's a
guess. I don't
that's
know.
a long time to watch someone explain. I couldn't. I don't think I could watch that.
Well, it's very I didn't just watch it and then do it. You work with it, right? So it's
Sure.
like the first thing you want to do is you want to make like sure that this square is near this. And then it's
Mm,
like, all right, now you need to make sure that these two patterns on this corner are lined up with these two patterns on this corner. And then it's like there's an algorithm for you put like this one forward, spin the top, this one backward, spin the top. If you wind up with this in this corner, then you do this. So until you have it memorized, you're following along with the video and kind of
mm,
working with it and then rewinding because you hit something wrong. Um, but it seems complicated, just like anything else. Like when you don't understand what you're doing, it's 45 minutes of just like, I don't know what you're talking about. But then as you sort through it and as you like start to memorize the steps and understand what they're actually doing and what you're trying to do, it's pretty intuitive and then you can memorize it and be able to get like pretty efficient at it. I mean, there's
mm.
people who do it like speed cubers who do it in seconds.
Right.
Um I don't need to do that, but like it was fun to be able to know that I figured it out. I
Yeah.
think the other thing is I watched a Theo Vaughn um clip on Instagram where it was like, would you rather be in jail for 2 years
Mhm.
or like be able to get out once you solve the Rubik's Cube? And he's
Yeah.
like, I think I'd rather just be in jail for 2 years. And they're like, how long do you think it would take you to solve? And he was like, I don't know, a few days. And they're like, so you would rather be in jail for 2 years than be able to solve it in 3 days? And he's like, yeah. But
He
like,
he said
I don't,
no, he said, "Yeah, I could like, I feel like I could use the time off."
yeah, but, like, I don't know if you could solve the Rubik's Cube without knowing how to solve the Rubik's Cube. Like, I don't think that you could happen across it by luck with all the time. I don't know, but I don't think you could. It's fairly complicated what you have to do. So I don't think if you knew I don't think that you could come up with it on your own
That's
without
interesting.
knowing, like, the
Yeah.
algorithms and everything else.
Huh.
So I thought about that some. That had me going, had my anxiety going some, where I was like, what if I was trapped in a room and they told me I had to solve this and I couldn't use YouTube or like a book? And then I started thinking about what he said and I'm like, which would I choose? This is why I take medication. Um,
Anyone
but
that's
I'm
listening that solved the Rubik's Cube, I want you to post it on your story and tag us.
yeah, and I'm curious if like I don't know if you like if somebody gave you a Rubik's cube and you didn't know or you couldn't have like be provided with the algorithms, I don't know if you could just solve it.
I mean, I don't I have no basis for this, but, like, I feel like that can't be true.
I don't know, man. I If you watch how you solve it, it might make more sense to you. Because like It's just
guess.
it's so, like, precise and planned, and you do this, and then you do this next, and if it gives you this answer, then you have to do this next, and that, like, it's very precise. There's, like, rules that you have to follow,
Hmm.
and I don't know if just pure luck would ever get you there. I wanna say that it wouldn't,
All right. Anyone that's
or
done
it
it
would take, like, a lot longer than 2 years. And I don't even know if this is something that we could Google. Can you
I
solve a Rubik's cube through luck? Let's see. Yeah, it says solving a Rubik's cube is nothing about luck or skill. One needs to know the algorithm for solving the Rubik's cube. Rubik's cube.
hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know if you could. You could peel the stickers off. That's what we used to do when we were little. When you had the cheap ones that had the stickers, you just peel the stickers off and put them all on the size that you need. But I don't
So
I don't I don't know if you could solve one by luck.
I typed in chances of solving a Rubik's cube has 3,674,160 combinations. This is a manageable number. If you fiddle with the cube randomly 8 hours a day continuously, you would solve it by pure chance roughly 2 or 3 times per year.
8 hours a day?
That dude, imagine
I'll be right. That's like
that
all
and
right,
that
that seems like good odds, honestly.
what?
Dude, that
Bro,
seems like like you would be out of jail before the 2 years. That the odds don't seem terrible. I think that you would go crazy or insane before you solved it, and I think you'd off yourself. I think you'd go insane before you solved it.
it takes an
If you
average
spent
person
that
about
much
3
time.
hours to solve a Rubik's cube the first time. A
Yeah,
s
with
a
the
s a
algorithms.
speed cuber can do it in 7 seconds. Dude, that's bananas.
Yeah. Could you imagine if you spent that much time just solving it? And that's on average. So the average could be faster, the average could be slow. Like
Oh,
you
I'm
could go
sorry.
2 years.
The 3,000,000 number was for a 2 by 2 by 2.
Okay, yes. So what's a 3 by 3? Cuz
3
that's the like real
Oh,
Rubik's cube.
yeah, okay. If you mean the probability of ending up with a solid position after a number of random moves, the probability is 1. Dude, that number I can't even say that number. Hold on.
That's what I mean. I
Hold
don't
on.
think
A
you could.
million, a billion, a trillion, a quadrillion,
Just
a se
type it in and say what's this number in Google.
it's no, it's a s
Probably like a
it's a se it's
tetrazillion.
no, it's a centa right? Is 5? 5?
I don't know.
Or
Give me the number.
I'm just kidding.
Read me the
What
number.
number is
I'm
it does quintillion, duh. It's 43 quintillion, 252 quadrillion,
I hold on.
3
Can
trillion, 2,000,000, 2,000,000,000, 700 274,000,000,000, 489,856,000.
million.
No,
So I
numbers
know. All right. So divide that by a million and tell me how many millions that is. I still won't be able to
divided
like.
by 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
I don't think I still would be able to because it's still going to be a number that's
It's
like.
it's what? It is I don't even understand math right now, dude. People
Is it like
why are people listening to this
is it
podcast?
like 500 billion millions? Like how many is it when you
Divide.
divide by a million? I'm just trying like the numbers I there's no way for me to quantify what that even.
I don't think you can divide it by.
You can definitely divide it by a million. If you can't do this math, there's no way you're solving it.
I mean, it
It's still
says
a number that's like you
it
don't
says 4
understand,
point
right?
it's yeah, it's 4.325 2003 to the 12th power.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
Like,
You wouldn't. I don't think you would solve it. You could try.
no, no,
We'll
no,
circle back next week.
no,
See where you stand.
no. God.
Oh man, that's
How
funny.
long? All right, one more question. How long would it take to solve a 3x3 Rubik's Cube? Many cases. Oh, randomly.
I
No.
when you get to numbers that big, it's there's like no way for me to quantify. Like you have to have some sort of relatable figure to that.
No, I mean,
Where
it's
it's
not
like, all
like
right, it's 1,000 millions. Be like, okay, I can understand that. But if you're like, it's like a jillion millions, I don't know what a jillion is.
no,
So
it's quintillions. So
I feel like you're making up numbers that
no,
my kids make up right now.
no, it's quintillion,
Where
meaning it's
they're
like
like arguing, they're like infinity billion millions.
no, it's million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, quintillion, and it's 54 quintillion.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. I can't tell you how much that is. You know?
Oh God. Well,
I don't.
all right.
I think you just take the 2 years in jail.
Yeah, for sure. That's Theo Vaughn. Theo Vaughn's awesome.
Yeah. Some of his stuff's very funny. Just like the delivery and the lack of reaction.
Yeah. All right.
So
Well,
yeah,
now
maybe we'll get Modern Craftsman Rubik's cubes made.
they're just yellow on all sides.
It's amazing. Rubik's Cube shirts. Let us know if you'd buy a Modern Craftsman Rubik's Cube
Oh,
shirt.
dude, we got some new merch.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Did you
that.
get one?
No, I didn't get one. I don't ever get it. I get like the dregs. I get the shirts once they go to Goodwill.
You know what? I was going to just offer to ship you one, but I'm definitely not going to because I'll never do it.
Yeah,
But
I think we gotta
I
get a hold
will.
of Doug or just
Yeah.
have them directly ship them when they make them.
Guys, we still have hives. We still have a bunch of
That
hives.
doesn't sound good.
What?
Guys, we still have hives.
We still have the Modern Craftsman Hive notebooks up on the website. We ordered a bunch of them with in partnership with Hive Notebooks, and we still got some of those pencils left, which are dope. And we actually just got sitting behind me custom beanies. Actually,
Oh,
wait, are they behind me?
can we see them?
Um, no, because they're not behind me. They're actually at the cabinet shop, and I will get
Oh,
them. But they will be up on the website soon. So pay attention to our social media when we drop that product, because supplies are limited. They will likely go fast because it is cold, and people like a good beanie. So
you guys might see them before me, so let me know what you think.
I'm going to have someone send you one. And then guys, we're headed to Vegas for the Builder Show.
Oh yeah.
We're going to be speaking. We're going to be we're going to be at the Rockwell booth. We're going to be hanging out with Buildertrend. We're going to be seeing some of the team from Andersen Windows.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's a bunch of companies that have reached out. That it looks like it's going to be a good year and a fun year. I haven't been in a couple of years. We skipped out on the Orlando,
mhm.
so I'm actually a little excited to go this time.
Yeah. So if
Sometimes it
you,
just feels like work and a lot going on, and if it's in Orlando, I just don't typically love Orlando. But it looks like it's going to be a decent time.
yeah. So Tyler and I are going to be actually talking about the advanced guides to uncovering and capturing all of your costs. And that's going to be on Tuesday at 2 p.m. in the West Hall. I'm not even going to bore you with that. You guys can check that out. If you guys want to head over to buildershow.com and just search our name or Modern Craftsman, it will pull up all of the speaking gigs we got going on. And hopefully we'll see you there.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing the there's a remodeling symposium beforehand, so I'm getting in a day early. Travis put a bunch of that together, and Jordan's hosting that.
Yeah,
So if you,
Monday at 9.
yeah, so if you guys are in town beforehand, check that out.
Yeah, and I know I'm doing another one. Oh,
Yeah,
I
you
am.
are. I looked it up today.
Tuesday at 10:15, the real world strategies to attract and retain top construction talent. That's actually cool. And this is going to be hosted by Dan Houghton from Buildertrend. But I was actually just on the Building Code podcast and we were talking about that. I started going down a rabbit hole, cut myself short because I was like, no, you got to come to the session in the build at the International Builder Show to hear more about how we go about attracting and retaining that top construction talent.
Sweet. Yeah, well, let us know if you're heading out there. I'll be out there Sunday night, and heading out late Thursday on a red eye. So if you're going to be out that way, definitely reach out.
Yeah, I'll be doing the same Monday to Thursday.
Thursday
And then
night.
Monday night, Tyler and I will be at the Contractor Coalition meetup. That's going to be, I forget where. Let me pull that up real quick. But we're going to
I
do a
think
meetup.
I just got an email about that today.
Yeah, so it's going to be the International Builder Show Contractor Coalition meetup, February 26th, 6 to 8 p.m. And that's going to be at Fontainebleau, the Nowhere Lounge.
Fountain?
Fontainebleau? I should probably know that, but I don't. But the Nowhere Lounge, 2777 South Las Vegas Boulevard. Again, that's Monday, 6 to 8 p.m. You do need to register. So if you head over to the Nick Schiffer Instagram, there's a link in my bio. You can register. And we'll see you guys in a few weeks.
Bring your Rubik's Cubes.
Yes, please.